Howdy Pitmasters, Mark here from GrillMark's Barbecues, and welcome to my Spring Saturday Smokeout. So the first thing we did is prepped our brisket. So we just trimmed off some of that fat cap, then we got our 4 Monkeys beef rub and rubbed it up. Got a whole heap, nice coat on there, and Pat rubbed it in. Perfect. Then we got our beef shorties, and check out that marbling. What an awesome rack of ribs this was. So we just trimmed a bit of that fat cap off and pulled off all that silver skin and the membrane underneath. There's that marbling again, check it out. And again we used our 4 Monkeys beef rub, got a whole heap on there. Then we got our pork shoulder, so we removed the skin because that's not going to render down. And then we retrussed our pork shoulder, so got it back into this netting. And then for this one, we're using my GrillMark's BBQ Zest Rub. And the flavour and colour on this pork shoulder is going to be epic for some cool pulled pork. So we get a nice coat on there, Pat rub it in as well. And then we're ready to go and get all this all on the pit the next morning. Check it out. Good feed indeed. So it's just on 6:30 AM here. I've had the smoker fired up since 5 AM. Our first lot of meat went on at 6 AM, so that was our beef short ribs and our brisket. So they're put down the end here, and then very shortly we've got a pork shoulder to put on a bit further down the pit, and that's going to be for our pulled pork. So we'll let that hit room temperature a little bit first, and then we're going to put that on in about an hour, and then we'll go from there. So it is 7 AM people, smoker is going, hovering around 250 Fahrenheit. We've got our brisket and our beef short ribs in there. We're about to get our pork shoulder on there now too. Sun is shining, looks good. So our temp is holding strong here at 250 Fahrenheit. We'll get our next log chunk on here, just slide up. We crank this side door open to get some oxygen flow into that fire, and this should light up pretty quick. There you have it after about 30 seconds. Time to enjoy some sun while the smoke is sitting pretty. So just having a quick check-in on this meat. So far looking good, we've got a nice bark forming, our temp's holding steady. So it is almost 8 AM, burning in at a perfect 250 Fahrenheit. We've got the pork shoulder on now as well. So at about 10:30 AM we'll get the pork ribs on there. That way they're going to be ready late this afternoon as a bit of an appetizer before the main course and the rest of the meat comes later that night.
Be the last, so raise your glass to boys like me, grew up running around these streets, buying fake IDs and wasting money on girls and cars and beer. Boys like me, yeah, we're working for the weekends. All our friends are our friends, and life's pretty sweet. Always be boys like me.
So for these pork ribs, we're using my raunchy rib red rub. This is a heat and sweet. It's going to have a lot of flavour. It's going to give an amazing colour to these pork ribs, and we're going to get them on the smoker in about 20 minutes.
This story ain't my own. It's one about calling a small town home when you grow up dreaming about singing your songs on a 6th Street. It's a tale as old as time. It was that
Alright, it's been another hour, it's time for an update. So, what we've done here, we've got our pork ribs ready. So these are going to be ready to go on the smoker in about 10 minutes or so. And then what I've also done is I've trimmed up our butcher's paper here. So we've prepared a few layers here, because very shortly we're going to get that brisket out of the smoker, because it's hit the stall. So currently this thing is sitting around 155, 160 Fahrenheit, and it's starting to not move. So we're going to Texas crunch this thing into butcher's paper. But the reason we're doing that is so that we don't wreck the bark that we formed on that brisket so far. Wrap it up in the butcher's paper. I'll probably boat it, so I'll cut a hole in the top. That way it's still getting some moisture through on top and some airflow. So it's more of a butcher's paper boat. Get it back in the pit and let it go the rest of the day till it hits around 205 Fahrenheit. We've used a hell of a lot of wood, so it's definitely going to have a nice smoke ring and a perfect flavour. So we'll get these on shortly.
I've ever really known about living. I wasn't the first, I won't be the last. So raise your glass to boys like me who are running around these streets, buying fake IDs and wasting money on girls and cars and beer. Boys like me.
So we're about 4 hours into this cook. Our coal bed is getting quite low, but as long as we're adding those wood chunks frequently enough down onto the burnt previous ones, we'll keep that fire maintained. So you can see that some of our wood chunks had burnt down here. So what you can see in there. So we've actually gone and put 2 more down. Now that they're lit, we'll close this, leave this side door open to get some oxygen in there, and then we're going to preheat some more wood by sitting it on top. So that wood there should burn for, at least a good half an hour or so, and then as they start to get low, we'll put our next preheated bits on. So while we've got a nice clean burn happening with the smoker and we've got a bit of downtime, I thought now would be a good opportunity to walk around and show you guys what the setup is that we've got exactly happening here. Firstly, we've got the smoker. So today we're rolling with the Oklahoma Joe's Highland offset stick burner. Now, normally I use a bed of charcoal, so like the heat beads briquettes here. And then I like to use, especially in this unit, being an offset smoker, wood splits, so triple split logs, usually Aussie ironbark, because that's what we get here in Australia, and it's got a real good flavour. Now sometimes I have to cut them down quite smaller because it's a smaller offset, so you need a smaller fire. You can see here already, this fire here is starting to burn a little bit stronger than I would kind of like. But yeah. So today I also couldn't be bothered cutting up a whole day's worth of ironbark as well. So what we've done is we've just got some oak chunks here. I actually need to be preheating this next lot here. So these oak chunks do really good. Because we're doing not just beef, we're doing pork, we're doing chicken as well. Sometimes a stronger smoking wood, like a hickory or mesquite, can overdo it. So oak goes perfect with everything. It's a medium to mild intensity, mild to medium. And it gives a great flavour and everything. So we put that over our heat beads charcoal briquettes, and that's how we're getting this fire happening. And we'll just give you a quick peek at the food too while we're at it. There's our pork shoulder, our beef ribs, and our brisket. Just some drip pans underneath. Now where you see the meat thermometer, the internal thermometer there, the ambient, I'm using a Maverick thermometer, just because now I do find this is pretty well calibrated to the built-in one in the Oklahoma Joe's unit, but you never really want to trust them. Heat rises, so it'll get hotter up here, but we're cooking down on the grate, so for a more accurate temperature I use this. But like I said, I've recalibrated this a couple times and they match up pretty well. 242, 250, close enough. We've got our spritz bottle for apple juice, so every 45 minutes to 50 minutes we're spraying the meat. Just gives keeps it moist and a nice sheen. And to check our internal temperature, we're just using an instant read thermometer here, Javelin. I used to use an internal one for like briskets and long cooks, or a meter plus, but I'm going to be checking it a fair bit later, and I know we've got a whole day's worth of cook, so I'm not going to bother there. We also have just our supply bucket here, so brush shot thing, an apron that I use to wipe my hands, but basically just rubbish bag, butcher's paper, gloves, some chopping boards, a cast iron griddle, just my like fire lighters. I also, for lighting my charcoal, I use the natural fire lighters because I like them better. They don't have that chemical smell to them. And I just use a butane tank and a light torch. And you can see I'm actually over here. I'm actually heating up our next lot of charcoal just because that firebox is running low. So we just place the fire lighters under the chimney on a concrete block, fill the briquettes in here, and then off we go. So they're almost ready to pour in. Then here I've just got my table for, you know, prep. Got my rubs here, GrillMark's raunchy rib rub. Some of my favourite sauces, just some top up apple juice, brown sugar, and that's basically all ready for when I go to put these baby back ribs in later. Just so I don't have to run inside and get everything. Water, can't go wrong. Got the esky somewhere with all the brews. We got the speaker just for music, and obviously our chair to chill out. And I've put this up today because you need a bit of that shade. So yeah, that's that.
This ain't that some back home, but it's in the field, mud on the wheels, yeah, ain't that some thick smoke, Silverado, tearing up a 2-lane road, ain't that some C-O-U-N-T-R-Y, shit we've been doing since we was J-High, there's folks out there, ain't T-R-Y, this, man, ain't that some shit, ain't that some shit, yeah. My true north is due south, the blue course going down, just like that setting sun on my OZ71. I know.
Alright, so our brisket and our pork, our brisket and our beef short ribs are wrapped. And we've got our pork ribs on. Let's take a look. Ain't that some shit? It's gonna be so good. Let's check back in shortly, hey?
Ain't that some C-O-U-N-T-R-Y? Shit we've been doing since we was J-High. There's folks out there in T-R-Y. This, man, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit?
Here, I got our ribs here. We've got dollops of butter, brown sugar, pour some of this apple juice in there, and we're gonna wrap it up Texas crunch style, get it back on the pit, and it's just gonna marinate in that stuff. And we're gonna get this awesome rib bite when it is done.
Silverado, tearing up a 2-lane road. Ain't that some C-O-U-N-T-R-Y? Shit we've been doing since we was J-High. There's folks out there in T-R-Y. This, ain't that some back home.
So we've, after wrapping the ribs with the sugar, brown sugar, and the butter, we've taken them out of the butcher's paper, we've lathered some barbecue sauce on it, back on for 15 minutes to caramelise, and then we're ready to rest and slice and eat. Appetizers, my friend, the best ones you can get. Alright, so our pork ribs are here. They are ready. We're going to let them rest for 10 minutes, then we're going to slice them, and we're good to serve them and eat. And that's going to build that appetite for the rest of this beast coming later.
tired of waiting, lost while I'm sitting at home, dream of a new destiny.
It has been a long day. The wind has been nothing but a nightmare. No smoker issues so far. We dropped our temp a little bit earlier in the morning. We fixed that pretty quickly. But our fire and temperature's been pretty consistent, which is great, considering how annoying the wind's been. And this gazebo's nearly flown off a few times. But like, we have, we've done our ribs, we've eaten. I'm hungry for more. It's 2:30. We're still 3-4 hours away from brisket and beef short ribs. But we've got our chicken wings coming shortly. Chicken wings are coming shortly. They'll go in next. It's barbecue, man. I love it. It is 3:30 p.m. It's been a long day. Let's take a look how we're going. Don't get me wrong, a long day, but a seriously fun day. I've ripped the top off of these That way we can just get a little bit more heat direct on the meat, but also keep that moisture retention by keeping the butchered paper around it. And our fire's still burning strong. Oh, this is the life, it really is. It's been long, hard, a lot of keeping an eye on things, a lot of making sure things go correct and don't go wrong, and fire maintenance and all of that, but it has been a lot of fun. And I couldn't ask for anything better, so spring, Saturday, Smokeout has been a blast. It's time to get chicken wings on the pit.
Favorite songs about the top to bottom, perfect. You're like Brooks and Dunn's debut album. You got me feeling like I'm a brand new man. Whoa, I'm a brand new man. Yes, I am, baby. I love you like I love country music.
Almost at the end of this cook. So the chicken wings are on. I'll move them to let them smoke a little bit, and we're gonna go indirect. We're gonna rest the big proteins whilst we smoke indirect on the chicken wings. These are pretty much done. Chicken wings are going good. Now with these big proteins, you want to aim for around 205 for pulled pork, and same for the brisket and the ribs, but they're such smaller cuts that we really want to aim for, is it probing like butter? Let's ignore the temperature. Is it probing straight through like butter? And I can assure you that that is exactly what is happening now. Ignore that, I'm not leaving it in long enough to be 240 Fahrenheit. They're hovering around 185, 190. Let them go a bit longer and rest them, and then we should be close to the 195 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're probing like butter. So we've got our brisket, our beef short ribs, and our pulled pork, pork shoulder, not pulled yet, resting in an esky in the house. And right now we've got our chicken wings smoking. So by the time these are fully done and ready to go, move these in. Our other meat inside should be rested, and we will be ready to eat. This is our last set of wood chunks that we've got on for the day. Had a few burns today. There's a good one there. Just got one up on the wrist as well. It happens. That's barbecue, but why is it gotta be the tattooed arm? Come on. I thank God for this. Ain't that some back home? What is in the field? Mud on the whiz. Yeah, ain't that some thick smoke? Silverado tearing up a 2-lane road. Ain't that some COUNTRY? Shit we've been doing since we was J-High. There's folks out there ain't TRY this. Man, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? My true north is due south, the blue course going down just like that setting sun on my OZ71. I know it's cliche to sing Chevrolets, cold beers and Fridays, but that's just the way. So 7:30, 13 hours cooking time total. We've eaten, amazing meal. I'm absolutely knackered, so thanks everyone. I'm gonna go clean up the rest of this stuff in the dark. Thank you for tuning in to GrillMark's Barbecue's Spring Saturday Smokeout. Cheers.